now need to go for a lunch, and the Baba has not spoken. And sometimes numbers and figures can really be boring, especially at this time. So I will really be careful and use my political experience to make this engagement a bit interesting and summarize issues so that I don't go into the details of numbers which may make you tire up. But Millie asked me to talk something, mention something about rapid response team that we had in the 10th Parliament. I remember when we came in, it was a grand coalition government. And that time, at one point, things were okay. But then later, as we were progressing, we started losing some of our membership out of the political atmosphere or environment then. When the deputy party leader, Musalia, started indicating that he was forming his party. And then, of course, the other deputy party leader, William Ruto, also had started drifting away. And so we found ourselves in very complicated situation, given that we were sharing that government where our the prime minister was actually our party leader. And so we quickly came together as young, vibrant members of parliament then, and we were a critical team, and we formed ourselves into a team that was monitoring what was happening in terms of legislation, in terms of proposals and policies that were coming, and we could interrogate, and we assigned ourselves. When it came to matters legal, we knew Millie, Babu Namwamba, and we also had even Olagwa Luoch in the team, were looking at matters legal. Matters economy was left for us, myself, and Martin Ogendo, the former MP for Rangwe. And so, but we also had backup of other MPs, and we could respond to issues instantly. So there was no time you could catch ODM unawares on the floor of the House. And that is what I would encourage, that even here, I know usually ODM has the human resource that is required. Actually, we pride ourselves of having that human capital that no other political party ever has. So just organize yourselves in a group. You don't have to be many. You just have to be a critical number which can come, which can interrogate issues that come to the floor of the House. That is what RRT was all about, and I think we were successful. Baba here was very proud of us, and I'm sure Kenyans were. So let me quickly run us through the economy, and I'm going to really be brief and summarize. The number one, if you look at this, the bar charts there, the figures you see around there, it's just showing you the world economy, how it is. The world economy has grown on average at about 3.5% from 2020, when we had the COVID. You can see it's hovering around that. In fact, in 2020, we had recession. For a long time, this is the first time that we had economic recession. And then you can see the major economies. You can see what has been happening in the advanced economies in terms of economic growth, 1.8, 1.8, 1.5, 1.6. This shows you that from 2023, there has been economic slowdown in the global economy. And you can see the USA, you can see Euro area, Japan, and we have picked out China among the emerging and developing economies. I still don't know why we are categorizing China as an emerging economy. Actually, I think it should move to advanced economy. India has been registering the highest economic growth. When you come to Africa, you can see the average growth is 3.644, then we project 4.4% and 4.3%. South Africa, which is the leading African economy in terms of size, you can see the economic growth. Nigeria, which is also up there as number 3 in terms of size, is 2.9, 3.4, 3.4, 3.2. Kenya has actually taken off, bypassed Ethiopia to number 6 this year, but you can see we grew at 5.7, 4.7 last year because of the challenges that we faced. We are projecting an economic growth of about 4.8 to 4.9% this year, and then next year we project to grow at 4.9 conservatively. And then this is just, again, emphasizing the same. I have put there, if you want this presentation, it can be provided to you. I've put there, if you see that cycle, it is showing the contribution to our GDP in terms of the sectors. Agriculture sector is still contributing 22.5%. I want you to move down and see manufacturing sector is at 7.3. At one point, it was contributing 12.6% of our GDP. We want it back there because no economy has ever advanced without manufacturing sector performing at over 10%. And so with this 7.3, we are not doing very well. This other side, we're just showing the economic growth for the first quarter of this year. How the economy, the various sectors have grown in the first quarter of 2025. And you can see the growth there. I think I can move fast, unless you want me to be slow a bit. Can I move to the next slide? Now, the graph that we have here is about inflation. Inflation is important because it is what reflects the cost of living. And you can see that inflation was at its peak around October 2022, and then February also 2023 at around 9.6%. But it has come down to now. There was a time it hit almost 2.7%. 2.7% was very close to the lowest that inflation should go, because if it goes below 2.5%, then obviously that economy cannot expand. So inflation, the lower inflation has merit and demerit. You have to be careful. But Kenya, we have chosen 2.5 to 5%. And you can see we are still within that range. So today, the latest data, August, 4.5% is the inflation rate. I have just given a table of what prices of essential commodities have been. I was avoiding 2022 because I didn't want to politicize my presentation. And look at November 2023, you can see the prices of essential commodities from sugar, maize meal, and maize flour, and maize, potatoes. There's also electricity cost, which drives the economy, petrol. You can see they were higher in November 2023, but eased in 2024. Right now, they're again a bit elevated, but compared to 2024, August, we are still almost having the same pricing. Again, this is the interest rates. On the interest rates, I want to explain a little bit that the interest rates have eased. So let me start by the interbank rates, the CBR rates. This was highest in August 2024 at 13%. This has gone down to 9.5% in August 2025. What this has done is to help lower the interest rates that we pay on government paper. Today, I'll tell you the latest of Thursday last week, 91-day treasury bill, which was trading at 16% in August last year, today is trading at 7.9%, below 50%, less than 50%. What that means is government is now borrowing cheaply in the domestic market compared to last year. And it is across 91-day, 182-day treasury bill, and even 364-day treasury bill. But even the long-term bonds, you can see the latest bond that we issued was at 12.9% compared to about 18% a year ago. And that has also worked in the interest rates charged by banks. The rates have declined. The average rates that banks now charge is at 15.2% in July 2025. If you compare that to November 2024, it was 17.2. So we have cut almost 2% percentage points. That clearly demonstrates that the private sector can now access loans cheaper than it was in November last year. This is again just explaining the credit to the private sector. Credit to private sector, just look at that curve. This is what has been happening to credit to private sector. The reason why Kenyans have been complaining that there is no money in the economy, there is no liquidity, is because, look at July 2023, credit to the private sector was at 10.3% growing. It started coming down. And it came down, and this is largely also because the interest rates were going up. So it came down to negative in January this year. Very worrying trend. Negative 2.9%, meaning that credit extension to private sector was shrinking. Instead of giving money to the private sector, the banks were getting money from the private sector. The net inflow instead of outflow. Very dangerous for the economy, but you can see now it has started picking up, and by July, the credit was growing at 3.3%, and we expect that to continue so that we can have more liquidity in the economy. On current account, I don't want to bore you with this. That is, those are some of the things that I could jump, but let's go to, but I would just tell you that we have seen current account getting better, meaning that the difference between imports and exports in terms of balance of trade, we are increasing our exports. We are also getting more remittances into our economy, although imports have also increased. But now on Forex, again, if I compare 2024, the same period, if we compare June 2024 and June 2025, in June 2024, we had only 3.8 months of import cover. The minimum should be 4 months, but we had 3.8. But the worst is 2022, we were only at 2.3% of import cover, 2.3 times of import cover. Today, we have 11.9 billion US dollars as reserves, which is 5.2 months of import cover, giving us one of the reasons why there is confidence level in the economy from the external players. Exchange rate, again, the shilling was at 160 to the dollar in January 2024. Today, it is averaging 129.3%. Again, this is because of the healthy foreign exchange reserves that we have, managing our liabilities so that there is no threat. In fact, the reason why the shilling almost lost ground is because last year there was a Eurobond that was maturing in June of $2 billion, and the government had not indicated a strategy of managing that liability. And so, clearly, IMF had predicted that Kenya was going to default. In fact, there were the 6 countries in Africa which were flagged out for possible default: Ghana, Ethiopia, Chad, Mozambique, and Angola. Only Kenya survived. The other 5 defaulted, and the consequences are really dire. Now, I want to show you something here that will interest you. This is the capital market. If you want to know the investor confidence in the economy, you don't listen to what people say, but you get the statistics of what is happening in our capital markets. You can see from August 2020 how the NSE index was. It was worse around November 2023, 2024, coming to 2024 August. Then it has picked up. From August, we are recording almost the best performance of our Nairobi Securities Exchange. What that means is that investors have more confidence in our economy now and investing in the economy. These are the statistics you can go and get. And I'm happy, in fact, we were talking about ODM here, and Jonetta Maenda is minority leader. We were talking about ODM here, and we came into government here to help. So you can see from August 2024, it's going up. That is the investor confidence. Again, this is net foreign purchases. You can see August of this year has recorded the highest ever net foreign investment in Kenya. August of this year. So it means if we maintain the tempo, then we are going to get a lot of FDIs, foreign direct investment in Kenya. Now I want to move quickly. I want to pass the budget performance. That one I can engage members of parliament later on how 2024-25 performed. But you have this information. I can send it to you. These are risks. Again, we have a number of risks. We have what may affect our strategy to manage the economy. Now, I want you to look at this table. This table, I'm very deliberate about it. Why? I want to tell you that we are still not out of the woods yet. And you can see from, now this is no, this is not the table I want you to look at. I will come to it. This, I was just showing, this table, sorry, the table that I've just passed. Anyway, I'll not go back to it. Oh, it is back. This table is just showing you the aggregate numbers of our budget for this year compared to last year. And the deficit is at 4.7%. The table I wanted to show you will come later. I have just demonstrated in terms of sectors. Look at what the percentage of our budget education is taking, 27.6%. But it is still not enough. Capitation is not enough. So it means we have to find ways of making sure we get more resources to finance critical areas. You can see 27% going to education. The second one is public administration and internal relations at 12%. No, there is 21% for energy infrastructure and ICT, and then you can see the others there. These are just numbers. Let me pass the numbers. Let me just go through these numbers. You have them, members of parliament. So I wanted to talk about the shrinking fiscal space. If you check 2010-2011, we were only collecting 609 billion shillings. You may look at that figure, compare it to what we are collecting today, which is 2,420,000,000, and you think it is kidogo. However, in terms of GDP, we were collecting 17.7% of GDP in terms of ordinary revenue taxes. Today, we are collecting about 12%, 14%. Actually, it is 14%. This percentage is 14. I have shown there just the change in percentage. But the next slide will show you that from 2010, it was 17.2% what we are collecting in terms of revenue or ordinary revenue to GDP. Now we are collecting only 14.3%. That means there's something about our revenue collection. What is happening? How come the economy is growing, but we are collecting less and less as a percentage of that GDP? I hope I'm communicating. I don't want to make it too technical. I want to make it as simple as possible. Now, this is the table that I'd earlier indicated thought we had reached. This is a table that you need to pay keen interest in. In 2013-2014, maybe I can take one of this. I hope this will still be captured by the mics. In 2013-2014, look at consolidated fund services. That is interest payments and pensions. We were paying only 16.4% of ordinary revenue. As a percentage of ordinary revenue was going to consolidated fund services. Today, last financial year, it was at 50% of ordinary revenue. And this year we are going to spend 48.5%. That's the reality. But look at development budget, which is funded from our domestic taxes. 20.8% in 2013, it has come down to 9.2% today. Meaning now for us to develop as a country, we are largely depending on borrowing. We are not funding our budget, our development budget from our domestic revenue. And that is not healthy. Over-reliance on external financing for development of a country is dangerous. So we must do something to reverse this trend. You can see how it has been, the development budget going down, coming down to 8.8 last year. You can use the excuse of what happened last year, but the trend is not very different, even the previous year and this year. So we must reverse that trend. Something else, recurrent expenditure, no much change. You can see recurrent is not growing so much, although the county equitable share, that is going, the ordinary revenue that is going to counties is shrinking as a percentage. And as a party that stands for devolution, that is also something that should worry us. We were spending 20% in 2013, and are now spending less than 15% of ordinary revenue to support our county government. I hope I'm communicating. Yes. Then this just shows you the same thing that I've talked about. Trend of recurrent spending takes the lion's share of total expenditure. You can see the recurrent expenditure. You can claim that, well, the recurrent expenditure here was 18%. It is at 16% here. But development is not doing better. It's actually doing worse, 6.8, and you come to 3.4. So, and then the county equitable share is taking a percentage, and that is something that we need to look at. Again, this is a repeat of what I've talked about. I don't want to spend much time there. So, I've just indicated what we may need to do. That one I don't want to bore you with. That is my work. I will come back to this slide 5.3. And the reforms. So this is the primary surplus. This is what we are doing at the Treasury with the primary surplus. What is primary surplus? Primary surplus is total revenue minus expenditure excluding interest paid on loans. So you remove the interest that you pay on loans, the remaining expenditure you subtract from your revenue. That figure should be a surplus. That is when you can manage your debt. But we have been having deficits all through. You can claim that the deficit has been shrinking, but it has been there. But now you can see the policies that were put in place in 2025-26, we are going to have a primary surplus. If we maintain the fiscal discipline, we will have a primary surplus. This is the debt to GDP. You can see it has been rising steadily, very fast, to 68.7. Now is when it started coming down. I want to say something about this table, then I combine it with the next one. You can see this is debt maturity or redemption profile. Look at where we are. In fact, just allow me to quickly move there so that I can explain something. Sorry, I'll keep you, yeah, I'm there. So, you know we have different debts. If you want to manage debts, you have to first profile the debts and see the most expensive, and those are the ones you start with. Now, we have 4 categories of debts. We have the cheapest debts, which are called multilateral. Those are the cheapest. Then we have bilateral debts. Then we have international sovereign bond. And then we have commercial bank debts. This is only external debt. I've not discussed with you the domestic debt. Now, this is maturity. These are debts that we must pay in these years. You can see for this year, we will pay a total of 2.64 billion US dollars. The following year, it is 22.24 billion, then 2.906, then 2.525, then 3.328, and like that. Now, this year, if I can put a ceiling here, 2030, 2031, and 2027, 28, there is something that happened here. The COVID. This is COVID period loans. We took loan here, especially from the multilaterals. And those loans were short-term loans, but they were soft loans with no interest, but they are now coming for maturity. They have to be paid. So this is what is happening here. Whoever will lead this country around this time must be aware of this challenge, including ODM. You must be aware of this challenge. Now, here, so multilaterals this year, this financial year, we are paying $609 million. Bilateral, we are paying 871. International sovereign bond, 107. Commercial bank, we are paying 1 billion. In terms of shillings, this year, we are paying 343 billion. That is this figure here. But I am happy for two things, which we have done since I went into office. Number one, if you look at this international sovereign bond of 107, it would have been 300 if we did not manage that liability by spreading it out. So we reduced that. But we targeted commercial debts because they are the most expensive. And I will now maybe move to the next slide. This is just a repeat of that. This is a slide that I want to explain in debt. If you look at the commercial bank, you can see the figures are coming to 1,053,000,000 US dollars for this year. The biggest is Trade and Development Bank, TDB, 748. We had an option to refinance that loan, get money again from them and refinance. But we said no. Why? Because the interest rate on this loan is 11%. And it can go up depending on the interest rates in the US, the Fed interest rates, because it is pegged on that. So we made a decision this month, and we have paid 600 million of this. We have already paid. We are only remaining with 148. And the moment we are done with this, you can see the payment. The moment we are done with this commercial loan, the moment we are done with it, we are reducing our pressure significantly. Number two, we have managed the liability here. You can see how much we are paying on you. This is the Eurobond, if you like. This one. You can see in 2028, 2027, 28, 2028 May, we have to pay $1,000 of Eurobond. And then the following year, 500. So what we are doing right now is because the bond yields have come down in the market, and the Kenyan rating has gone up. The yield have come down from over 10% to 8.5. We have decided to liability manage this amount. We are liability managing it at least to 50%. It's still in the market. I don't want to talk about the figures. Lastly, bilateral. Look at the bilateral. Where do you see big figures? China. Out of the 871, China is 515. Redemption. The maturing debt, 515. The next one is US, 123. In fact, US, we are almost clearing with them. After paying their debt for this year, we are done. Now for China, the 515, we have managed to work on a program of conversion. We are working with them on conversion of that debt, and it's working very well. I want to leave it there. It's working very well and saving us close to 28 billion shillings per year. So, in summary, we have a strategy to manage public debt. Our relationship with the IMF, we are starting or getting into another program soon, which now we are going to negotiate, and the conditions we are going to discuss with them so that those conditions are not harmful to the general public, because again, it would be counterproductive. Moody's rating, Fitch rating, S&P, we have gone up in the rating, and that is because, simple, 1, diaspora remittances have been healthy. 3, our exports have been going up. 2, number 3 is the liability management. And you saw in the S&P rating, they said very clearly that our successful liability management for early this year worked well for Kenya. And that has received a better rating. Now, in conclusion, allow me to just say a few things. As we do all this, for us to be able to manage our debt, public debt very well, there are a few options for financing budget. Option number 1 is raise taxes. That option is not now available for us. We can only improve efficiency of KRA, but we can't raise taxes. Number 2, debt, borrow. That option is also not available. The third option is go for non-debt revenue. Non-debt revenue here, we are going for privatization. The good thing with privatization is that it does not take money away from private sector, as taxes would do. Instead, it makes the private sector vibrant. I know people have talked about Kenya Pipeline, that if we sell 65%, we have been getting a lot of revenue from pipeline. We are getting about 3 billion. If you privatize it, the profit of KPC may even triple. May even triple. If you look at the expenditure that KPC incurs, they are making revenue of 30 billion, but with only interest of about 4-5 billion. The rest is expenditure. That can be reduced and you make more profit. So even with 35%, you can still get 3 billion or even more. But again, you will have got money, you will have received money, which money would help you support your budget and will help you run your program. So I would request you that privatization, and there is a bill, I will come before Parliament and defend that privatization bill. It is good. It's a good bill. I will discuss it with you. The other one is securitization. I don't have time to discuss that. It's also an option for us. It is selling asset. It is not taking fresh loan. Finally, on reforms, treasury single account is very important, because at the moment, people request for money. Then they go and create, you request for 100 million to pay for various services. Then you put it in the current account and use it as you wish. In the process, you find some requisitions are made to pay our party leader, for example, his business, if he supplies or he does business with government. But that money ends up with Junet. Treasury single account, the system we are bringing, if you requisition the invoice, you will pay only the invoice requisitioned. And that one we have already implemented. It's going to take effect. On the controversial one, E-Procurement. I don't know what was said here before I came, and that is where I'm going to end, Baba. On E-Procurement, without pretending, we all know what is happening in this country. If you don't know who knows who, you can't get business in government. It is difficult because of manipulation. You complete your tender documents very well, you present them, tender is opened, then later on, you realize someone, because you have quoted low, and I want Governor Gladys Wanga to win the tender. What I do is just to plaque the documents of Millie. I plaque tax compliance, take it away, and you lose it. So what we are saying is have the budget uploaded in the e-procurement platform. Then annual procurement plan is also uploaded there. And many, forget about the noise outside, many procuring entities have already uploaded their annual procurement plan. It will surprise you that today, if you use your phone, you can access annual procurement plan of State House. Something that had never happened before. No one knew what is being bought at State House or anything. After that, with the procurement plan, advertisement will be done in the system. So anybody can see. I've had people saying, but people who are working in remote areas, what of presently? How are they knowing that there is an advertisement somewhere? Those challenges can be dealt with, but let us onboard this system. Then, once you supply documents online, everybody will see. Evaluation will also be done online, and they will be seen. And as I conclude, the most interesting part of this system is that even payment, ile maneno ya kusema that you had already done business with government, lakini hujalipwa, will be reduced to minimum. Because no one will allow anything that was not in the annual procurement plan to be paid for. So payment is also going to be integrated with the procurement system. And then we have a working system. Every system will have challenges. So we will be dealing with those challenges as they come, including the challenges of NGCDF, which probably you want local people to get business. It is true. We have factored in that in the system. A percentage must go to locals. We have factored in persons living with a disability, women and children. If your budget does not have 30% reserved for that, it will not be accepted in the system. So all those have been taken care of. And the other challenges have been told to implement it gradually. We will discuss some of those challenges. But by the end of the day, a system like this, if you allow people to decide when to implement it, you will never implement it. Otherwise, colleagues, thank you very much for giving me opportunity to make this presentation. I want to tell you that as you sent us into this government, we are doing something. Or at least I know at the Treasury, we are putting efforts to make sure that things are better. You remember, this is the first time, Junet, allow me to say this. Because, you see, my concern is that if you send your experts to government and something positive comes out, you should be the first one to say it. Isn't it? If for the first time since 2013, we have transferred all the money to the counties, all the share of revenue, it's something. It's positive. It is supporting devolution. That is what we have been fighting for. NGCDF, we transferred all the money, including arrears, to the constituencies. And Baba, I have provided for 58.8 billion to the NGCDF for this year again. And we will start releasing the money from October. Every month, we will be doing 7 billion. I can see you are telling me not to tell Baba that. Baba, I just want to tell you that personally, I still support NGCDF. I know you have a different position on that, but as your expert, I must report that I support that NGCDF. Thank you very much.
Haya, ODM. Nikisema ODM, mseme tuko tayari. ODM. Chungwa Nation.